where does this stand right now? Remember, aid for certainly Ukraine and Israel, to a lesser extent, hangs in the balance. Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma, kind enough to join us. Senator, how does it look on your end?
Well, it looks busy on our end. We're still getting a chance to be able to talk, waiting on the White House to be able to give us responses back and forth. We've had some very long pauses here of engagement from them, but our main focus is very straightforward. We've got now almost 10,000 people a day. We can't have that number released in the country. We can't process these folks. And we have this overwhelming number of people that are asking for asylum that everyone knows don't actually qualify for asylum. So they're gaming the system in this. We've got to be able to fix that.
All right. Now, the administration says it's open to addressing this security at the border, just not lumped in with this aid for Ukraine and certainly for Israel. What do you say to that?
So the administration said over and over again, we're willing to do it, but they never actually do. They actually asked us to do a proposal on spending for Israel, Ukraine, for Taiwan, and for border spending. And we said we understand there's a crisis at the border that need additional funds, but we need a change in policy, not just a change in dollars. They're asking for dollars to be able to facilitate people through. We're asking to say we've got to actually stop people on this. And you can't say we have a national security crisis in Ukraine and we don't have a national security crisis in the United States. We absolutely do. By the way, this is only political here in the 202 area code in Washington, D.C. The rest of the country sees this as a problem, but for some reason the White House and Democrats here see this as a political issue, not a national security issue, and it certainly is a national security issue.
Very clearly is, and you raised some good points, Senator, but if you're President Zelensky and you're in the United States and you're going to be meeting with the President of the United States tomorrow, he's already anxious about European aid that might not be forthcoming because they're having all sorts of budgetary issues within the European Union. And now this. What do you think?
Yeah, we've been very clear that we understand the threat that President Zelensky's faced and continues to face. We provided aid for a year and a half at this point to be able to help him in every way that we possibly can. That aid will continue to be able to come, but we can't just ignore what's happening in our country while we're helping other people with theirs. By the way, we also have Russians that are coming across our border that we have no background information on, no details on, that are coming across our border. We have folks from all sorts of terrorist watch areas that are coming into our country, and this administration has literally allowed in tens of thousands of people that they designated as a national security risk. But because we had so many, there was nowhere to hold them. They just released them into the country, even though at the border they were designated a national security risk. We can't allow that to keep going.
You know, while I have you, Senator, much has been made about the situation in Ukraine and this war that doesn't seem to end, and that some are open to the possibility of a settlement there that includes Russia keeping a lot of the lands it's occupying right now. How do you feel about that?
I would say that's a President Zelensky issue and the Ukrainian people issue on that. We've seen Russia go take territory, then wait a couple years, then go take more, then wait a couple years and go take more. They've been ruthless in their attack of the Ukrainians, and we need to be wise on this. And we shouldn't forget that before this war ever started, President Putin said Ukraine was once part of Russia and so was Poland. We should take him at his word at that point that he has every intention of continuing to be able to move west. So we should pay attention to that and try to get an end to this war now.
You know, Nikki Haley, in some of these polls pitted against President Biden, leads him by 17 points. It's a little closer for the former president. But I'm just wondering, she has made a big issue, this idea of security for the United States, as seen through being tough against Vladimir Putin and being tough in supporting Israel against Hamas. Do you look at those polls and take from them that maybe the American people are there as well?
I would tell you that the American people don't want Putin to go slaughter his next door neighbors and us just to turn away and say that's no big issue. This is Putin with funding from China, with weapons from North Korea and Iran. What part of that do the American people actually support? We don't. And so we should not just ignore what's actually happening in that area and think that Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran, when they form an alliance to go attack Europe, is going to just stop at that point. They're going to continue to be able to use that leverage and that power that they're working together to be able to do, to be able to continue their assault. So yes, we should pay attention to it. The best thing that we can do is try to stop wars before they ever get started. Once they get started, to be able to end them, but also keep them from actually spilling over and bringing American blood into it.
That's the Nikki Haley position then, right?
Well, I would just say that should be an American position of basic national security. This is the most basic element that we've had for a long time. When Russia's on the move in Europe, when China and North Korea and Iran are threatening their neighbors, we understand the threat of that and we shouldn't ignore it. It should be the lesson of 9/11. People far away that threaten us don't always stay far away.
Got it. Senator, great catching up with you. James Lankford of Oklahoma. We'll continue to monitor these talks, and if anything promising comes from them. Meanwhile,